Oczywiście jesteśmy gotowi do dialogu i zachęcamy zawsze opozycję, nawet tą opozycję totalną, która tak jak Platforma nie potrafi nawet głosować za przyjęciem rozwiązań takich jak ustawa o ochronie granicy. I to pokazuje, że nawet kiedy mamy problem dotyczący kryzysu politycznego ze strony reżimu Łukaszenki, znajduje się część opozycji, która wstrzymuje się od głosu, ale nadal potrzeba ogromnej jedności naszej jako wspólnoty Polaków i naszej jako polityków, ponieważ to jest kwestia naszej odpowiedzialności. No niestety okazuje się, że wtedy, kiedy mówimy o ochronie granicy, sprawie fundamentalnej dla bezpieczeństwa naszego państwa, część tej totalnej opozycji.
Państwo wstrzymaliście się, więc
panowie współpracowali ze sobą tak jak na,
nie poparliście
tak jak na boisku, gdy bo przecież gracie w jednej drużynie parlamentarnej, również na sali plenarnej. No to byłoby idealnie. Bardzo dziękuję za wizytę w naszym studiu. To był program Gość Wiadomości, a teraz przed państwem program Forum. Adrian Klarenbach już na państwa czeka.
Smakuje zabawa.
TVP Info. Wiesz więcej.
Miśku, film Garner naturalnie.
Hello and welcome. I'm Don Arleth, and you're watching World News. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki stressed in London that the United Kingdom is a very good ally and friend of Poland. After the meeting with the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, the Polish head of government assured that the two countries will continue their close cooperation.
During their meeting in London, the heads of the Polish and British governments discussed, amongst other things, the situation on the Polish-Belarusian border and various mechanisms for resolving this crisis. Thousands of migrants are stuck on the border between Poland and Belarus, the European Union's eastern frontier, in what the EU says is a crisis Minsk engineered by distributing Belarusian visas in the Middle East, flying migrants in and pushing them across the border. Poland and other EU nations say the crisis is part of a hybrid war that Minsk is waging in retaliation for EU sanctions. As Prime Minister Morawiecki pointed out, the migration crisis affects everyone.
I'm so happy that for the United Kingdom and your great nation and for Poles, we have almost the same priorities and we are on the same hymn sheet. We are. Like the migrants and the influx of migrants is just showing that this is an issue for all of us.
The heads of government of Poland and the UK also discussed the energy crisis, the crisis around Ukraine and the situation in Moldova.
I think this is a chance for us to reaffirm our commitment to you as I think probably our closest European NATO ally in our thinking and our commitment to our long-term security and defence relationship, which is something that we've, not to say nothing of our economic relationship and the many other,
which are great as well.
Which are great as well.
Boris Johnson stressed that Poland is an important ally of the United Kingdom. Morawiecki welcomed Johnson's support, stressing the importance of staying together in front of these challenges.
The illegal attempts to cross into Poland from Belarus are continuing, and the crisis is far from over. Our reporter Izabela Muczynska, who's near the border, has more.
One of the soldiers has been injured last night. We found out that he was hit by one of the stones thrown by migrants. Soldier now has got a couple of stitches on his head, but he's feeling good. He's back to work. This happened during last night's attack. In Cheremcha, near Cheremcha, over 200 migrants were trying to cross the border. Some of them did cross the border a couple of meters, but they were sent back to the border. They were very aggressive. They were throwing stones and they were throwing wooden boards as well. Belarusian forces were coordinating those actions at all time, but they were not only coordinating, but they were provoking Polish forces themselves by, for example, using laser pointers, green ones, the red ones, to blind Polish officers and border guards and soldiers. Last night, Polish forces reported over 200 attempts to cross the border. Most of them took place in the south of Podlaskie. A very dangerous situation occurred in a center where some of the migrants are staying in Węgrzyn, in Lubuskie, which is the western part of Poland. Over 100 migrants, men, wanted to escape the center. They were trying to go to Germany. They were breaking the fence. They were breaking the windows. Police had to come and take some actions. They had to come and support border guards. Now situation is under control. But migrants are not only aggressive in the center, they are also very aggressive sometimes when it comes to crossing the border. Last night, one of the Polish soldiers was injured he was hit by the stone thrown by migrants. Now he has got a couple of stitches on his head, but he's feeling good. He's back to work. This happened during last night's attack near Cherem. However, 200 migrants wanted to cross the border. They were very aggressive. They were throwing stones. They were throwing planks of wood, and they were at all time coordinated by Belarusian forces. The Belarusian officers, they were also provoking Polish army. They were, for example, using laser pointers to blind Polish army. Last night, Polish forces reported over 200 attempts to cross the border. Most of them took place in the southern part of Podlaskie.
On Friday, Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko visited the logistics center in Brugge near the border with Poland, where Belarusian authorities unleashed over 2,000 migrants. The self-proclaimed leader stated that he wants Germany to take in some of the migrants.
As announced by the Belarusian state media, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko visited the logistics center in Brugge near the Poland-Belarus border on Friday. Belarus authorities adopted the buildings of the logistics center on November 16th. Since then, the buildings have been serving as temporary residence for migrants who had previously been staying in an improvised camp near the border. During his visit, the self-proclaimed leader of Belarus appealed to Germany to take in some of the migrants gathered at the border with Poland, even though it was his regime that sent them to the border in the first place.
The majority here want to reunite with their families, find those close to them in Germany. If they, the Germans and Poles, don't hear me today, it won't be my fault. We will do everything with you to fulfill your wishes.
Meanwhile, the West accused Belarus of artificially creating a crisis by supplying migrants with visas in retaliation for the sanctions imposed on Minsk for the repressions against its people. The Belarusian authorities, however, continue to reject these accusations.
During the summit of the B9 group, ministers of 9 European countries expressed their solidarity with Poland in the ongoing migrant crisis at the border with Belarus. The defense ministers met in Bucharest to coordinate NATO and EU actions regarding the crisis.
Defense ministers of the countries of the B9 group gathered in Bucharest to coordinate their approach to the ongoing migrant crisis at the Polish-Belarusian border and the build-up of Russian troops in the east of Ukraine. B9 is a Polish-Romanian initiative uniting 9 European countries on matters of security in the Baltic Sea and Black Sea regions. Poland, Romania, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Bulgaria, Slovakia, Hungary and the Czech Republic established the group in 2014 to be able to react to precisely such situations like the one Poland is facing today. The B9 defense ministers expressed their solidarity with Poland after the meeting.
In Bucharest, at the meeting of B9 defense ministers, we issued a statement on threats on the eastern NATO flank. We stand in solidarity with a hybrid aggression directed at Poland and the EU. A common policy of deterrence and defence is necessary.
The ministers stressed the need to strengthen NATO's eastern flank and that the North Atlantic Alliance should work on a new strategy for defence and security.
A new variant of the coronavirus has been detected in South Africa. The World Health Organization decided to meet on Friday to discuss the new heavily mutated variant.
The new coronavirus variant, known as B11529, has been detected in small numbers in South Africa, according to WHO officials. In the opinion of South African scientist Tulio de Oliveira, the new variant contains more than 30 mutations of the spike protein, the component of the virus that binds to cells. This is much more than those of the Delta variant, which spread extremely fast this year and became the dominant strain worldwide. The United Kingdom has immediately decided to ban flights from South Africa and Zimbabwe, among other countries.
Per the request of the Armenian authorities, Moscow offered to mediate between Turkey and Armenia and to help normalize relations between the two countries. Turkey backed Azerbaijan in the conflict over the Nagorno-Karabakh region, causing its relations with Armenia to deteriorate. Russia also held a meeting between Armenian Prime Minister and the Azerbaijani president in Sochi.
On Friday, Russian President Vladimir Putin held a meeting between Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev in Sochi. This is his reaction to a recent small outburst of violence between the two South Caucasus neighbors. Armenia and Azerbaijan fought for 6 weeks to win control over the Nagorno-Karabakh region, with thousands of soldiers being killed over the course of the war. Russia played an important role in resolving the conflict, having close relations with both countries. Following the deterioration in relations between Turkey and Armenia over the disputed area, Russia stepped in once again, stating it is ready to mediate between the two. Turkey backed Azerbaijan in the conflict in the mountainous region. Now, with the two countries being at peace for more than a year, Armenia wants to normalize relations with Turkey, which closed its borders in response to the conflict. President Putin announced he is ready to help in these efforts.
Ukraine has unmasked a coup d'etat planned for early December, the country's president Volodymyr Zelensky has announced. There's also growing tension on the border between Ukraine and Russia. Here's more in our report.
The Ukrainian president did not give details of the coup attempt and did not accuse the Russian state of involvement in it. He only informed that apart from the challenges from the Russian Federation and a possible escalation, Ukraine also has internal challenges. He added that he had received information about a planned coup that would take place between the 1st and the 2nd of December.
But I can add that we not only have the agential information, but we even have audio recordings on which representatives of Ukraine, let's call them like this, discuss with, let's call them representatives of Russia, participation of Renat Akhmetov in a coup d'etat in Ukraine, and that $1 billion will be solicited, etc.
Meanwhile, Russia is building up forces near the border with Ukraine, and Kiev, the United States and NATO have expressed fears of a possible Russian attack.
Russia has sent its troops to the territory of Ukraine twice, so there is a great threat that this could turn into a full-scale conflict. Hopefully that will not happen, but it is also possible that this is only a matter of time.
However, the Kremlin claims that it is not planning any military intervention in Ukraine, nor is it behind any coup. Moscow and Kiev have traded blame for rising tensions in recent weeks, raising fears that the long-running conflict could escalate into renewed open hostilities.
According to the latest survey conducted by Rasmussen Reports, if the U.S. presidential elections were held today, 45% of respondents would vote for the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. Incumbent U.S. President Joe Biden would win the support of 32% of those surveyed.
According to the survey, in the opinion of 56% of Americans, Joe Biden should not run for re-election in the 2024 U.S. presidential elections. 30% of Americans hold a different opinion. 14% have no opinion on this matter. Asked who would you vote for in the next elections if they were held today, 45% of those surveyed stated that they would choose former U.S. President Donald Trump. 32% of respondents declared their support for incumbent President Joe Biden. 17% of those surveyed declared that they would vote for another candidate. 6% did not have an opinion on the matter. According to the survey, 69% of voters who voted for Joe Biden in the last presidential elections would still support the incumbent president. When it came to Donald Trump, 83% of those who supported him last time would still vote for him.
And that's it for now. We'll be back with more world news at the top of the hour.